My master, he's more difficult than I expected. What must I do?
Then you will find the others that knows Bones. Hunt them down, force them to talk.
I think it's time to give this girl a call. Hello, Brittany.
How did you get my number?
I have my sources, but I want you to pass on a message for Bones to me. And it's going to be another collaborate with you with us.
What?
Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88, and today for my next horror slasher movie review and a collaboration with Brittany Wright.
Hello, everyone.
Well, Brittany, glad to see you back now with us. Now it's a big collaborate.
Okay, don't get too comfortable for this. I'm doing this for Bones, not for you.
Alright, yeah, whatever. And...
Scream 2. Director and writer Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson returned to do this sequel, and along with the original cast member that returned as well, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, and Jamie Kennedy. Scream 2 came out in theaters in the winter of 1997, and it was the ultimate best fanatic horror slashing sequel that Wes Craven ever did. I mean, despite with the other horror films that he done in the past, with such as The Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, Serpent of the Rainbow, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but Scream 2 was actually the best sequel ever. I was really shocked and surprised, and I was really enjoying this film. But to tell you the truth, guys, let me tell you a little teeny tiny story. And this was back in between of the end of middle school and the beginning of my high school year. I skipped Scream 2 because I thought it was going to be the same as the first Scream movie, but apparently it wasn't. It was really different, and it does explain about the sequels and how to try to live or survive, or most of the characters will die in the sequel. So in my orders, I saw was Scream 1, 3, and 2.
What? You skipped part 2? What the hell were you thinking, Bones?
I was a kid then. I didn't know better.
And now?
And now I knew. So now I watch Scream 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in order.
Well, thank God. Next time don't you ever do that to me again.
I was a kid, man. Give me a break. Part 2 hit the box office, but only to about $172.4 million. It made good, decent money, but it didn't really beat the first film's box office, because in Part 1, it had the formula, the elements of the horror, the elements of surprise. It was kind of much more, like I said, of a horror guide of how to survive in a horror film. And now in Part 2, this talks about the sequels and how they should be very good and try not to mess it up, but make it better than the first film, but really not quite. They also had a couple of guest stars, including cameos, which were Sarah Michelle Gellar, which we all know her from the TV show of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Jada Pinkett Smith, Jerry O'Connell, Liv Sharper, and Umar Epps. And surprising that Joshua Jackson from the Mighty Ducks trilogy, he was in this movie too. The cast and crews, they were having a blast of making this film, including some behind the scenes. They were just blasts of making this film, and everybody was happy to return, including with the cast members as well. They were really happy to work with Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson.
The storyline was very particularly the same, almost the same as the first one, but they did some adjustments to these characters, including with the new ones, especially with Sarah Michelle Gellar. She was hot then, and she's hot now!
So this movie starts out with two couples that are played by Jada Pinkett Smith and Umar Epps. They were going to see a movie called Stab, and everyone was all dressed up as Ghostface. How surprising that back then everyone can dress up during the movies in theaters. Did I ever try dressing up? Nope. So right there, Umar Epps decided to go to the bathroom, and apparently there were just two guys dressing up as Ghostface. So now we are not too sure if Ghostface is around. He could be anyone. He could be in the bathroom, he could be in the hallways, he could be a girl, he could be you.
How do I know you're not the killer?
Because I don't wear a mask or carry a knife like you.
I don't carry a knife. Oops.
Bingo!
Cut! Please cut! Cut the scene! Cut it!
So Umar Epps tries to go to the bathroom and he hears a strange voice and he's not too sure it could be a girl that's getting all kiki, but surprisingly Ghostface just stabbed him right in the ear. Yep, that point on he was dead. Maintenance! Go to the men's bathroom! There's a dead body there! So by there, Ghostface takes the guy's jacket, pretend to be the boyfriend. Jane Pinkett Smith, her character, I thought at first she was a bit of annoying. And yeah, she was kind of annoying. She did discover the blood of her boyfriend's jacket, and it turns out that it was the real killer. Stabbed her multiple times in theaters, and everyone was just enjoying and laughing and watching the movie. But it turns out that when she got up to the stairs, she started screaming dramatically of her death scene. Rather, everyone was just so shocked and surprised that it wasn't an act. She was really dying.
Ooh, sweet.
A year later, after the events in Scream, Sydney and Randy are two winter college students in Ohio, and just when they thought that things could go back to normal and start new and have nothing to worry about anyone who might be, the new Ghostface killer after them or her, but
Sydney decided to go and look for Randy, in which now all the news reporters are talking to her. She's becoming famous and popular on TV ever since that event in the first film. So we see Randy, Mick, Cece, and other college students that had cameos. And at first I thought Randy and Sydney would have hooked up already. So I guess now that Randy and Sydney are just still remain as friends, and Sydney found herself a new boyfriend. So Randy, you're stuck in the friend zone. I'm sorry, dude.
telling Randy it's starting again. He doesn't somehow seem to believe it at first because he thinks it's just a coincidence. I mean, to think about it, I don't think it is. If I was in that situation, let's say, I don't know, with me, I would not think that all of a sudden with this killer having the same costume and doing these things of what the killers have done before in the past, I would not consider a coincidence. So yes, things just starting to happen all over again, and things go really bad from there.
Where Gail Weathers meets up with Sydney again and finally tries to get an interview with Compton Weary ever since the day that he got arrested for blaming on the murderer of Sydney's mother's death. She tries to make the interview and at some point gets punched again. When will Gail ever learn?
So, at this point of her life, Sydney has a new boyfriend named Derek, has two new friends, Nikki and Hallie, and things are going fine at first, but after what happened to those two students that were killed in that movie theater by this new Ghostface killer, that things to start up again, all over again, and everybody is now a suspect. Like, who is it? Who is this new killer? Is it someone that we know and trust? Or is it someone we don't even know at all? So yeah, that starts to happen all over again. And yeah, it really gets you thinking, who is it? Like, is it somebody that you thought you can trust? Or is it somebody that you probably won't even suspect because maybe you did or you have never thought about it?
And later that night at the Omega house, Cece gets a strange phone call. At first it was her boyfriend Ted, but it turned out to be the killer that was taunting her. I have to get this out of my chest. I had a huge crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar. Ever since the TV show of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I just fell in love with her. I fell in love with her so much, and besides the TV show, I've seen her in other films. Besides Scream 2, I saw her in I Know What You Did Last Summer, Cruel Intentions, and the Scooby-Doo 1 and 2. So yes, I literally had a huge crush on her. Not a lot. I mean, I was only 9 years old when I saw her. So by there, Ghostface goes after her and kills her and throws her off the roof? Damn. You know, I would expect her character to have a longer role. But then she had another film to do, which was I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then Cindy picks up the phone, and why? Why would she answer the phone just randomly? And up until she knows that was the killer, and surprisingly, Ghostface just once again goes after her. Something tells me I think this killer is much more of a klutz. But then again, all these Ghostface killers are always such clumsiness, and they always fall into different objects. I just love that part where Ghostface was just going after her, and then he just falls right down in the chair. I mean, that is so funny.
Ghostface is much more of a klutz.
Honestly, I think that guy should learn how to jump.
He doesn't even know how to jump or dodge to any different objects. I mean, seriously, what kind of a killer is he?
So Cindy finally got out of that house, and Derek goes after the killer this time, and Dewey goes in there and sees only was Derek, in which Dewey kind of felt a little deja vu, and same with Cindy, that during the last time that her boyfriend got sliced and slashed, all these sequels, they always have a motive. And Randy explains it all, and here's what he said.
Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage, candy. Your core audience just expects it. And number 3, if you want your sequel to become a franchise, never, ever...
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
Sequels always try to keep it true. Most likely, some sequels cannot be as better than the first film. Unlike with other films, they sometimes fail, or they sometimes make good, decent money. Take, for example, Terminator 2. It made a lot of good, decent money, including with the visual effects and the storyline and the characters' development. That was really nice and job well done. It was all thanks to James Cameron. And Aliens? Sure, people may say it's be better than the first Alien movie directed by Ridley Scott, but James Cameron did an excellent job on Aliens. You have to be an expert on movies, and to be a nerd on that one too.
The one thing I don't like is Randy's death scene, because it's just so sad. And it happens so fast that it's like you are in that moment where you're thinking, why? Why would you do that? Why would you kill off such a great character? Like, so suddenly.
Well, he lived as a virgin, and he died as a virgin.
The music was very creepy and kind of funny at times. They had some little love music into it, and a little bit of comedy as well. The writer Kevin Williamson written 2 more sequels while the first one was in theaters. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and in which it was true. And 11 years later, they decided to, make another Scream movie, which was Scream 4. So every single Scream movies, they had different stories. Part 1 was just how to survive in a horror film. The second film was talking about the sequels and how to try to survive in it. Same thing. And part 3 was about trilogies. And part 4 was only about talking about was remakes. Every single Scream movie, they always have a storyline, a good storyline and a good story background too. And now with a series now that's happening in Scream on MTV, in which I never got a chance to see it, but now since it's on Netflix, now I can catch up and watching it. There's 2 seasons on Netflix now. At first I didn't really want to watch it because with the Ghostface mask, it's not the same than the original. But you know what, since people are saying that it's a good series, and maybe I should go check it out. And then I might review it, so I'm thinking about it. I may not record it, but I'll probably write about it. The kills in this movie, they were really interesting, and they were very gory too. Warning, if those of you did not see Scream 2, and you don't want to get spoiled or anything, then skip to this timeline.
At the end, when Sydney is trying to untie Derek, all of a sudden, Ghostface comes in. Of course, he reveals himself, and it's Mickey, Derek's best friend.
Dun dun dun! Mickey is the killer. Wait, Mickey Mouse is the killer?
But then again, I think I have always suspected it was him just because earlier he mentioned how that maybe Randy could be the killer because to him he seems a little off, and of course for him to say that, I'm like, no, he's not. Like, just because what he went through in the first doesn't mean that he could be the killer.
Well, since Billy and Stu were the original killers, and now that and you're right, yes, history does repeat itself. And everyone thought if Mickey was the killer, then Derek was the killer, because Billy and Stu were partners, so those two had been partners. Apparently not, because Mickey shot Derek, so it wasn't really him. But Mickey wasn't alone, so who was the other next big reveal? Wait for it, and bing! It turned out to be Mrs. Loomis.
Billy's mother.
Why am I having this Friday the 13th vibe going on? The ultimate killer. It's Mrs. Voorhees.
What? Like, that is what? Billy's mom? Like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I was so shocked that I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. Like, so Billy, as in Sydney's well, her previous boyfriend who was the killer, that's his mom, and that since she found out that her own was the killer, that now she becomes one herself just to avenge herself. That is probably like the most shocking reveal ever.
Nice twist, huh? Didn't see it coming, did you?
Good twist. That's really a good twist.
She tries to kill Sydney, but then kind of weary stops and tries to rescue Sydney. All of a sudden, she tries to twist his mind, tries to get into the dark side, but eventually it didn't really work out. So, who did he shoot? Did he shoot Sydney? Did he shoot Mrs. Loomis? He made the right decision. So you know what they say, the killer may come back for one last scare. I guess once again, evil never really dies. But at the end, she does shot Mrs. Loomis in the head, just in case she ever tries to come back to scare them. So another happy ending for Sydney, for Dewey, Con Weary, and Gale Weathers. So they once again survived, except for Randy. We will miss him. So, after done talking about this film, Scream 2 was the biggest and great sequel, and it's all thanks to both Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson.
Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson did a great job on Scream 2, and unfortunately, it didn't feel like it was a horror film. I feel like it was a mystery suspenseful movie. It just all I had was Ghostface. But yes, it was a lot more gory and bloody too, with all the kills. But Ghostface isn't really supernatural.
Some people may say that Scream 2 is not as better than the first film and the other sequels as well. You can kind of think of it, and honestly, in my opinion, and probably everybody else's too, that I love all the Scream movies, and ever since then, maybe I will start to watch the Scream series and see if it has the same formula and the same element of horror. And if they do, then that would be great, and if not, then it doesn't really matter. I'm still gonna watch it. It's not gonna stop me. And back then, when I was a kid, I did dress up as Ghostface. Maybe I did said it before, but technically I didn't really show the picture, so as you can see, here's a little photo of me, and of course here's my best friend too. He dressed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and there's me on the right dressing up as Ghostface. We were only about 8 or 9 years old. Actually no, it was back in 99, so I was 11 and my other friend was only about 10 or 11. So we were definitely big at the time. Scream 2 was the biggest formula to talking about all the sequels and had to live on with the element of the big horror genre and having the elements just surprise you, and even with the big twist of happening at the end, you should definitely see it if those of you didn't. But if those of you did and you really are interested of watching this film, then you should go for it. So just to rate this film for Scream 2, I'll definitely have to give this a 9.5 out of 10. Equals to a 95%, so the grade will definitely be an A+.
So to rate on Scream 2, I would give it a B+, 8 out of 10, 85%, and 4 out of 5 stars. It is a good movie. It is a good sequel to Scream. I do love it.
So to rate and grade this film, I will honestly have to give this a personally about 8.6 out of 10, equals to an 86%, so the grade will have to be an A-.
Thanks to Wes Craven, the king of horror, Scream 2 is definitely the biggest sequel ever, and with others like Scream 3 and 4, they were good too, but they were starting to lose the elements of the horror just a little bit.
But the one thing I wish that they could have changed in Scream 2 at the time is that instead of killing off Randy, it's just to keep him alive, and so that way he could pass on his knowing of these rules of sequels to horror movies. You know, just for him to live on, and for him to be also a survivor along with Sydney, Dewey, and Gail. For them to be like these 4 survivors, 4 best friends who will stay at each other's sides no matter what. And yeah, that's the one thing I wish they could have done, is that they could have kept Randy alive in part 2 instead of killing him off.
The storyline was definitely great, and they did keep the formula, and Neve Campbell that played as Sidney Prescott, she did a great job on it and kept her character just evolving and trying to be a fighter and not to get all wimpy and scary all the time, but most of the time she always knows how to fight back. Even with the killer Ghostface, he's kind of more of a klutz, and sometimes I just wish he could take it a little seriously. Definitely a good sequel, and watch it and you'll probably learn about it.
If those of you have a favorite scary movie, comment down below and give us your favorite scary movie.
And I do have this movie on Blu-ray and DVD. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off. His saying is, peace! Finally, now I can rest. Wonder who's at the door.
You.
Well now, it looks like Bones and Brittany had their good collaboration, even though I had a good time too. But it's just too bad that me and her could have just hooked up. Should I give her a call? Nah, I'll leave her alone. For now. Let's see. Oh yes. I think it's time for me to find someone else to collaborate. But until then, see you soon, folks. Now, who can I bother? Well, there's the Super Zeros. I could bother them sometime.
Hello?